that Paul alluded to a couple times, those young people. Unemployment has been devastating in that young age bracket, especially people 18 to 24 who are of color. It has been devastating. Up to 50% of African American young men and women are unemployed right now. And why is that so dangerous? Well, number one, Paul said it exactly right. They're going to work. They're going to make money. They're going to clean houses. They're going to mow lawns. They're going to take day work wherever it is. But they're not going to enter the workforce. So that means they're not going to get worker protection. They're not going to get the ability ever for unemployment insurance, and they're not going to build their pensions. They're not going to build what I call their pensions, their Social Security, not a private pension program. They're not going to get into the Social Security system. That is really long-term danger for our economy. If we have this whole generation of young people who understand that they can make money under the table as a waitress and then fill in the blank all the way up, and they don't get into the legal workforce system, we have no wage taxes for cities, we have no revenue for states, we lose so much of our ability to provide a safety net for anybody. So it is, when people look at how we've put our money out, they're going to look at, for instance, in our Pathways Out of Poverty grants, and Sally mentioned that the City of Philadelphia worked hard in the most competitive grant in the history of the Department of Labor. We funded 8% of the applications. So it wasn't like anybody got a gift. They worked really hard to write an incredibly thoughtful proposal if they were funded. That grant started us focusing on pumas, not the cats in Africa. Instead, on something that, you know, by the way, if Paul had been my statistics teacher in college, I probably would have never been a teacher. I would have gone in, I would have been an unemployed economist. So maybe that's good that I didn't have you. But a puma is a division like a census tract, except a little larger, that focuses on an area where 15% of the people or more are at or below the poverty level. That means we're getting our grants in the Pathways into areas to help those people who need the help the most. They tend to be the least educated. They tend to be the people with the least solid work history. And they tend to be the people, quite honestly, who are on the edge, who are going to make a bad decision because they're hopeless. So focusing that grant, by the way, Secretary Solis took a leap of faith. It was something that I understood from a lecture I had heard years ago. Probably you or your partner in crime, Andy Sum, had taught me about it. But she took a leap of faith to do that, and now the Obama administration is saying we should be doing more of that. Why? Because everybody needs help, and we want to give everybody help. But when the nation is at 9.7% unemployment and communities of persistent poverty and color are at 50% unemployment, they need a different heavy dose response than people who are at 9.7% unemployment. Everybody needs help, but these folks need more help. Whoever these folks are, they change. Pumas change. The puma in West Virginia is all white. And probably most of the people who live there are between the ages of 35 and 70. A puma in Philadelphia is all Latino or black, for the most part. But it's not about race. It's about targeting to people who need the help the most and defining them however you need to define them. And what's the help? You know, again, following Paul, it's a lot of ditto. We have a system that since 1998, and before that through JTPA and before that through CETA, has funneled federal money into training. Some of it very good from the beginning of time with CETA, some of it really bad. So in the Workforce Investment Act in 1998, in almost a full employment economy, we had these grandiose ideas of working together, but the federal government didn't work together. We know now we have to change that. I have to demonstrate for you how I'm reaching out across Maryland Avenue to the Department of Education, so that when folks come to you, whether they're 16 or 60, and they need basic literacy and occupational training, you don't have to figure out, how do I juggle adult literacy money with WIA money without triggering an audit from the Department of Education or the Department of Labor? That's our job to make sure that's easier. I'm reaching in the other direction across the lettered streets to make sure that our friends at the Department of HHS, particularly the folks that bring you TANF, who are putting money out there for subsidized employment are working with us to make sure the employment is real and not just somebody standing up here, their job today is to dust off this, when tomorrow the United Way isn't going to hire somebody for that. So working together, by the way, until we started working together, TANF subsidy, salary subsidy, $6 billion during the recovery that was put into there, didn't have one dime drawn down. When we started working together in October of this year to link our two systems, since then, since January 1st, when we really put our efforts together, since then, 2/3 of the money has been spent. That's us working together. That's what you knew at the local area and what you've been doing, but we're going to work at the federal level to do that in a different way. And we're also going to do it for our dual customer employers. Our one-stops, when I look back over the last 12 years, the pile's about this high for TENS and TEGLS, our acronym for letters to the field, that we've put out about job training. I would have to get down on all fours to show you this is what we've done about employers. Our one-stops don't have anything from us to offer their employers. We're changing that. So I hope you'll partner with us, but I really do want to open a discussion. Can we start? Does somebody have questions?
I have some questions.
Oh, good. So let's start. I was talking until I knew there were some questions, because if not, I was going to start electric prodding people in the audience, and there's a couple that I know.
Okay. So if you have a card, just let Seth and Lauren are collecting them, and I'll try to we'll get through as many as we can. So, let's start with, we heard Paul talk about the importance of a job experience, young. Yesterday, if you are unaware, there was a major amendment defeated in the Senate to put $1.3 billion into youth employment this summer, and of course time is running out. The question is, with the Murray-Curry amendment being defeated yesterday, are there other opportunities for increases in federal funds for youth employment?
I think that Senator Murray, when she came off the floor, extraordinarily disappointed at only being able to get 55 votes. Extraordinarily disappointed. She turned to me and said, "I'm not done." And Senator Harkin came off the floor not long after her, and your own Senator Specter came off the floor right after that, and they in unison told reporters they were not done. So I think it's very important. Without that stimulus of a bill, and we need at least $1 billion, at least $1 billion, to do what we did last summer. Without that, we're going to have a lot of idle young people on the streets this year, and that's not good. As a former 9th grade teacher, that is not good news. So I think there will be new opportunities. I think that people are understanding this. I mean, the president can't just put money in there. Congress has to appropriate that money. I think he's going to get directly involved in talking with congressional leaders. And I can tell you, my budget hearing before the House is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And I've already gotten emails when I was on the train from people on the House Appropriations Committee saying that that was going to be a topic of my questioning tomorrow.
Great. Well, we'll stay on top of that. Please let us know if there's anything that we can do with our delegation. We have a couple of questions here about, there's a book called Help Wanted that the Workforce Investment Board did with the help of Dr. Harrington about the literacy issues in Philadelphia. And we have a couple of questions along the theme of, obviously dollars are getting cut all over the place. I know you've had a really strong working relationship now with the Department of Education. And the real question is, what are the prospects for more competitive grants, both on the job training side, but also for innovation in literacy services connected to work?
Yeah, I think number one, we have to start, this is again, we need a wide menu of resources here and stop points, because the first thing is we have to make sure that a high school diploma really means something across the country. I said earlier today in a conversation, I know Philadelphia. I know a high school diploma from Masterman does not equal a high school diploma from Frankfurt. Not the same thing. And we need to start reforming high school yesterday. We need to make sure that senior year in high school is relevant and that seniors aren't spending a lot of time in study halls that they don't need. Unguided study hall for a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, the average student, is a waste of time. They should be having instruction, they should be having structured work experiences, they should be having mentoring relationships with business people. I think that's all important for young people. For the kids who drop out, we need to refocus reintegration programs. We need to focus all our juvenile justice system, because most of the kids who drop out, if not